What's up, guys? Welcome back to Funcast. This is episode 16. Our guest today is Patrick Maravelias. He is um, a freelance journalist slash writer, who mainly works for High Times currently. And, he's a great friend of mine. Welcome to the cast, bud.
Going, everybody. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Like what you're doing here.
Thanks, man. It's just I feel like it's been fun. It's been fun getting to know people a little bit more that are like in the community or in some sort on a personal level, not just like speaking to you about deadlines and payment, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. I like what you're doing. And I like seeing the mushroom community do stuff.
Thanks, man. It's been really cool, dude. I've been really enjoying it. You know, uh, what should we call it? So, wanted to say, like, I guess, congratulations on writing for High Times. That's kind of a big deal, man.
Thank you. Yeah, I remember the first time that I actually heard from them that they reached out to me. I was so geeked out, just running around the house, so excited. They're awesome people. They're really fun to work with and write for. Um, and it's kind of like a bucket list thing for me, which has been cool. Just to like when I was a kid, like that's always kind of who I wanted to be and what I wanted to do. Not necessarily for High Time specifically, but as I got older and as I started smoking and becoming a part of that world and that community.
Oh yeah, dude, I
You
couldn't
know,
even imagine. It's like just growing up, like you giving me the opportunity to be in an article. I feel like the king of the world, you know.
yeah. Well, honestly, that was such a natural fit also because, to give people backstory, I did an article about how to grow mushrooms. And at the time, I was following a bunch of people in the mushroom community, and all of them reporting back to you is like, use this guy's fucking substrate and grains. So I was just like, hell yeah. Because when I was writing the article, I was like, I'm not going to tell people to make their own substrate and grain because that'll just go badly for most beginners. And also like it was already way too long as it was. So I was just like, just buy this buy the stuff from this guy, please. It seemed very natural. Yeah, I know. Like I said, everyone I followed was like pointing back to you as the guy for that. So,
Oh,
easy call on my part.
I'd say so, right? I had put enough time into it, and it's kind of a pain in the ass to learn how to make. If you guys have, you guys are at episode 16 right now and haven't learned that making grains and substrate is a pain. Now you know.
Yeah, when I was doing it, oh my god, I had the worst strike. I mean, like okay, I shouldn't say I had the worst strike problems. I had a lot of strike problems eventually because I moved to a house and it just got so complicated. I had a vent problem, like a ventilation problem that was just blowing fucking trike
Dude.
and all this shit onto all my grain and everything. It was horrible. And I had a flow hood and everything. It becomes such a pain in the ass that eventually it's like just outsource that shit. If you can afford it.
It's like we're all freaking professional trike farmers, to be honest. I don't know a damn person who isn't.
Literally. I mean, I lost a whole, I think it was like 100 bags that I left for like a week when I went on vacation, and I got back and they were all fucking green, and I was just like, fuck it, I'm done. Get this all out of my house.
Dude, that is like, it's honestly frustrating, to be honest, right? Because like you can get like people who grow like herbs and stuff. Like you can get cocoa that's enriched with trichoderma because it's so like good
Especially
for
like
plants.
for someone like me, like I've always grown weed at the same time, so it's just, you come home from the hill or whatever, and you get your clothes are covered in trike. Your house already has trike in it. Like it's impossible to keep out of your shit. I mean, it's funny because the mushroom and weed world's like collide so often that it's funny that it works like that. It's like you cannot do both.
Yeah, like no way. It's like don't even think about it. I mean, realistically, I feel like you could take some mycelium, maybe throw it in your soil.
Oh, I do. 100% I do. Like I know a lot of farmers that they do it specifically in a way that like they'll get like oysters or whatever else like at a specific time in their growth cycle. I just throw I what I used to do is I would just throw old cakes into the compost or into the dirt I was using and just let them ride. And if a mushroom popped up at some point, then cool. But mostly I was just composting it. But yeah, there's definitely people that like find ways to like, what do you call it? Like have
Create
those.
like the symbiotic relationship between like
Yes.
the mycelium and the plant.
Yeah, symbiotic. That's the word I was looking for. Like, but they time it to such a degree that like they'll get mushroom fruitings at like a particular point in the cycle of the weed plants, and I could never
Do
do
you feel
that.
like it actually like significantly helps the weed plant's growth?
No, not really. I think that composting that stuff and mycelium in general helps with plant growth. But I mean, as
Yeah.
far as like, I think you'd have to get really, really into the science of it to actually make a noticeable difference that you couldn't achieve with other stuff, like other composting materials or whatever. I know people that are doing it for the most part. Like I know people that are into it enough that I actually trust that their weed might be danker because of it. But again, it's like a might be. Like it's you never
Yeah, it's like
really
you
know.
really would have to do like a freaking, I guess, side by side like grow
Yeah.
of like the same clones, right? And I guess like one with mycelium, one without. To
Yeah, and I mean it's funny because I know that like I don't think any of them are using psilocybes for that either. I think they're all like edible mushrooms for the most part. I'm
okay,
not sure why, but I mean probably because of trike, if anything. But I don't really know. I think oysters would be the most common ones that I've seen. Um,
well, I guess like oyster mycelium is pretty like aggressive. There's like some like I guess they have like the commercial cultures that are just like redonkulous in comparison to I'd say even some like cubensis cultures that are worked I'd say, but like probably not nearly as much as like a 20-year-old oyster farm.
yeah, oyster mycelium does not give a fuck. It'll do whatever it wants. I mean that's why you don't need a still air bog. You don't need anything to grow oyster, but you can
Yeah,
just
dude,
fucking go
oyster.
get
I think
after it.
oysters would eat us.
Oh,
Pretty
easily,
sure.
100%.
Like it's like you see all the videos where like people are like they just do the cold pasteurization of the straw, throw it in a laundry basket, and then put some oyster mycelium on it, like fucking Salt Bay. Next thing you know, they have like 80 pounds of oyster mushrooms.
Yeah, that's what we're actually about to start doing a whole edible mushroom thing. We have a bunch of oak logs we're gonna knock up with some lion's mane and reishi and oysters specifically.
Nice.
Get some bags going of lion's mane and oyster. I don't even like oysters very much to eat, but like it's just free food at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, you could also give it to people or freaking sell it at the farmers market. Except,
Yeah, and there's almost none of that where I'm at. I mean, I live up in Shasta County in Northern California, and there's such you can't find lion's mane or oysters or anything outside of like your normal like I don't even know what the generic mushrooms are called, but like
like
the
portobellos, the white
yeah
button mushrooms.
yeah that's all
Technically,
you
their
can find.
scientific name is like Agaricus bisporus.
Wow, didn't know that, and it's funny because like I've only been interested in the other like the headier ones like the lion's mane and the ones that are actually good for you. So I didn't even know what those were called until you just told me. But that's all
Yeah,
you can find at the grocery stores around here. And I know like one local mushroom producer around here, but they're so small. I mean, I haven't seen their mushrooms anywhere. So it's a very this is a very like what do you call it? Like
like a
this is a
niche
very
market.
well that, but it's just like a kind of a vanilla area to live in. Like everyone here
Oh,
is like
okay.
a lot of churchgoers, a lot of they hate weed here despite
Yeah,
having
pretty
a bunch of weed
conservative.
growers. Like yeah, it's a lot of churches, a lot of So there's just not a big mushroom community here, but like it's funny because it's just like you don't know that this it's just food that tastes delicious that's good for you. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd like to be able to contribute to that somehow, but it'll probably be a while. We got to get these logs knocked up with some good mycelium. Then it'll be like another year until they do anything. So
Are you
but
guys kind of like? It's always been a dream of mine to like kind of set up like a Lincoln log kind of deal.
that's exactly what we're kind of going for. We have a bunch of oak logs ready to go, and a whole property full of oak trees to get more if we need them. And we're gonna do just I don't know if you're familiar with Fungi Farm or Levon Durr out in Eureka, but he's the man. I talked to him for that same article that you're in, and he gave a lecture that I heard on growing in logs, and that's how he recommended like the stacking that you're talking about. You drill holes, put like the
plugs in.
Yeah, like myceliated plugs, and you just stack them and keep them wet, and they'll produce food for like 6 years. So
Dude,
we're gonna
it's
get
so fucking cool.
stacks on stacks going out here as much as we can, because we're getting a whole garden. We just moved into this place like a year ago, so we're getting a whole garden set up, and like, it's gonna be fun.
Imagine like, so I guess this is obviously in like a not realistic world, but imagine having a log cabin and then like the exterior of your house just fucking fruits all kinds of like edible mushrooms.
That'd be tight until the inside started doing it, and then you couldn't breathe
I
all the
know.
spores.
If there is only some way that we could somehow not like fruit inside.
I know, right? Some sort of barrier. That would be cool. Your whole house just feeds you all the time.
It's like, yeah. Just walk out, just harvest my like fucking north wall today.
Yeah, the logs are definitely a cool thing, though. I think people should know about. Like, it's just that's food for 6 years that you can set up with like not that much money at all.
And it's passive food, right?
Oh yeah, you don't have to do anything. You just hose your logs down every few months or whatever. I think you dunk them like once a year, but like you don't even have to do that. Like they'll probably still produce food. That's just to encourage it, But they'll probably produce food no matter what you
at
do.
that point, it just needs to colonize the wood, I'd say, and then like as long as the conditions are right, should be good to go.
Yeah, it's
I'd
definitely
like to
a cool process.
mess around with a lot more of that.
Yeah, I had to chill out on any kind of mycology work for a while. We just because I had trike problems and without incriminating myself, I'm not going to say I was growing psilocybes.
Yeah,
officially I was not. Let's just put it that way. But
we've all officially never grown psilocybin.
I definitely haven't for a while, if I ever did. But it was we had some problems at our a couple of houses ago with a house sitter that I think she had a party while we were out of town, and so I didn't know who'd been in the house or who had been near my stuff or anything. So I was just like, get rid of all of it, and start fresh later on. But
totally, it's like that's okay, man. You can. It's kind of like riding a bike for the most part, and especially if you have your bins or whatever you did it in. It's like it's kind of inconvenient because now you got a bunch of bins with like holes in them, so you can't really even use them. Like
when we were moving, that was what all of our shit was in like old monotubs with little holes in them and shit. And I remember someone who was helping us was like, "What are all these holes for?" And I'm just like, "No, fuck it, don't worry about it."
Oh god, it's like it's just so my blankets can breathe.
Yeah, but it's funny too because I have young kids and stuff too. So I was just like, look, like if we are gonna do this, like for one, we gotta spend a little bit more money so that we can have like an outdoor setup for the pressure cooker and everything. It's like I don't like they're gonna knock it over. It's gonna explode one day or something. Like there's just so many things that about there are ways to definitely make it safe for being around kids, but like you need a little bit of cash, you need a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Like I just didn't have it at the time, so but the edibles for sure, like that's something we're definitely gonna spend some time and money on here pretty soon.
Same. I just set up my gourmet little grow tent again.
All right on.
Um, uh, just actually like my buddy gave me some old cultures. He said they're like 2 years old. Uh, and the cultures looked pretty good. So I was like, fuck it, why not? Let's send it. I sent it on five of the. I think he gave me like 8 liquid culture syringes or like 9. I sent 5 of them, and currently I have 5 of 5 starting to grow something.
Cultures
And
are prolific. I love that
dude,
cultures last as long as they do.
I don't even like sometimes they do like I don't like, but it's like I don't even understand it. So because it's something I do, but like I don't
I
because it's a
do
living
I do this
thing.
for a living. I do understand it, but
I do, but I don't. You know what I mean? Like it's like a living thing, and then it's just like living in this tiny fucking 10 cc tube for like 2 years in a sock drawer, and it hasn't died yet.
it wasn't even in a fridge.
No, he had it in like it was like a dusty Ziploc gallon bag in like the extra shit drawer. Like
Wow.
whipped it out, like got some cultures, and I was like, let's try it out.
Why not? See, that's why I love mushroom growing. It doesn't make any sense a lot of the time. Like it just does. They do whatever the hell they want, and
Dude,
it's just so
it's like
funny.
mushroom growing. Like when people, bro, we don't grow mushrooms, and I think it's funny if you think you do because they grow for us.
Or they're farming us, like that one theory says. You know what I mean? So
Oh,
it's funny
dude,
that we
like
think we
what?
can cultivate them.
What's that TV show? The
What
Last
the?
of Us.
Oh my god! I was actually I've grown. What am I thinking of?
Cordyceps?
I've grown cordyceps before.
Really?
Just
I haven't even
yeah,
grown cordyceps yet.
they're super fun and very easy. You get the culture, and then you I think someone gave me a recipe of like brown rice and like a whole egg and some other stuff that like you just
Yeah,
blend
they have
together.
to like imitate bugs. Basically, is what that is. It's like,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But they grew like great. I didn't consume any of them because I was just like kind of sketched out by the whole. Like I don't know.
dude, they
I
look like
did.
alien fingers, but they're actually like super. Like one, like I guess I'd say like monetary value wise, worth fairly a decent amount, and it's like used for energy and stuff.
Yeah, they're definitely super good for you. I don't know. It's funny because whenever I was doing this, I would always kind of doubt that I did the right thing because it's such a deep process that like I was looking at fully grown cordyceps and I'm just like I'll go buy a supplement and take that because I don't know that I did. I don't know. I don't know why I was sketched out by it. I was just like
To
I
be
was more
honest, man,
so
if
just
you found
experimenting.
cordyceps to be easy, I'd personally say that's one of the hardest to grow.
I definitely had some help. A good friend of mine, who I'm not going to name because they're having some legal troubles. They he taught me out in Humboldt, and he gave me all the recipes for everything, his mycelium plates and everything for like cordyceps and like
That's cool.
he definitely put me on. If he had a brand, I would shout out the brand, but I think he's just kind of floating right now. But a good friend of mine, he made my first tubs with me, showed me how to do all this shit, and for a while we kind of had a little like thing going, but he's out in a different state now, so But
That's cool though.
yeah, between him and like I learned a lot from the Humboldt mycology guy, um, who I also don't know if he'd want me to say his actual name on here, but he's dope, and a couple other cats out in Humboldt that just you know really instrumental in teaching me all this stuff. Which again, like I haven't done a whole lot of it on my own, but like
I feel
I've
like a
mostly
lot of us haven't really. I think like we've collectively learned as like a community, as like a group of people, for the most part, right?
yeah, it's cool. It's a very open community in that way. It's different than weed in that way because weed they're all trying to gatekeep all their secrets. Because I've done both my whole life. Like I've worked on farms a lot. I've grown weed for myself and made hash and and all that. And it's funny because like even in the early days of hash, if you were to ask someone like, "Hey, how do you dry this properly?" they would literally tell you the wrong thing. To like,
Really?
I swear to you, like
That's fucked up.
they would tell you completely wrong information to get you just to protect their little market. Or
Yeah,
like,
yeah. That's so greedy and gross.
yeah, you don't see as much of that anymore because everything's kind of out there now. But it's still, I mean, like weed is very like reclusive and not as in they don't share information as much. Whereas the mushroom community, I mean, I just started following people on Instagram when I got into it, and most of them would just answer my fucking question, like
You
right
know,
off the bat.
I feel like for the most part, it's like, but yeah, I don't. I want to see people growing mushrooms, even though like as a person who sells cultivation supplies, I could be like, oh, don't learn how to do it and just buy from me for the rest of your life, right? But like, I'd rather see somebody, learn how to do it and make their shit and teach a man to fish. Take a man fishing, feed him
Yeah,
for a day, teach a man to fish, feed him for his life.
I mean, hell, like the thing is, like most people would probably start off wanting to make their own grains and sub, but once you get to a certain point, like it's financially feasible and time, and it makes sense for like time management
Yeah,
to just buy it from someone like you.
it's
Like,
and like honestly, and that's the whole point. Like behind it, it's kind of like it's just more so for the people who one may not just be able to do it, right? Like some people just don't have a pressure cooker and fucking these like bags with filter patches on them and all this stuff. It's like it's just much easier to at that point just to buy a grain bag.
yeah,
But
and not it's hours of it's an hours long process for one bag or like even if you have the big pressure cooker, it's
oh
like you can
yeah,
get like 6 bags in like 4 or 5 hours worth of work between like washing it and draining everything and fucking
it's like fucking like worse laundry, and then after worse laundry, and then after all that work, it can still mess up.
yeah. And that's when I was doing it, it would take up so much fucking time just the grain. The substrate's one thing because the substrate it's just like you just mix it, you sterilize it, and it's whatever. But you still got to sit there and babysit a fucking pressure cooker for like 2 hours.
Yeah,
Like
unless you
mix.
pasteurize it. There's like there's like people who do like the whole pasteurization, and then like they have like their whole steam setups and all that stuff. It's getting
Yeah,
pretty
I never
cool.
I never learned too much about the pasteurization. I would always just sterilize, but I wanted to get. We started before I like kind of lost interest. We started looking into like exotic manures and shit like that, just because it sounded cool. But I don't know. Again, like
Dude,
it's just fizzled out.
I feel like yeah, like poo is poo.
I mean, I've seen people selling like substrate made with like zebra shit and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
like there's been like elephant shit and shit. And like realistically, like I feel like it makes yes, like it's probably better. I don't know, a whole food from like an elephant, but how don't I? That's kind of like almost the same similar thing as like, does the mycelium help the weed plant that much? Is like how much does like switching, to exhaust like the Zaza, bro? You know what I mean?
Oh
Like,
my god. It's funny. The weed community is so fucking focused on like what is Zaza or what is mids and what is good. It's all shitty now for the most part. Like, even in California, like especially in California, almost we have so much canopy space. We have so many people growing weed, and it's so much shittier than it was 10, 15 years ago when I first started getting into it. When people were just outside in soil, like with like
dude,
a smaller amount of plants,
I
like
like to say like, and it's like I don't know. It's like the weed. I feel like me for like around 2011, 2010, 2011, like that nug hit like different. I feel like my parents when like back in the day when they're like back in my day when it was tied stick, it was tied around a fucking tree, and I was like, yeah, sure, dad. And then now I'm like back in 2011 when it was sour, it was sour. and they're like, yeah, sure, sour doesn't exist, and now at 24, you know what I mean?
I feel like a lot of that is because of what we started breeding for in cannabis. We started breeding for taste, and it's like Mother Nature kind of it doesn't let you take shortcuts. I mean,
But
like
I don't know. I don't like that taste though. It's like all the cake, like the cookies, the cake. It all has this like very. It all tastes. All the weed tastes the same now. I think
it's
it's kind
because
of like
it's all a direct descendant of Girl Scout cookies way back, and then gelato after that, and now it's like everything now is either Skittles or lemon cherry gelato or Runts, which is the same thing. And they're all different breeds of that. Some of them are fakes, and they're all just regular gelato. It's a whole mess. But point being, it's all washed out cuts of the same like 3 or 4 flavors.
that's wonderful.
That's why like I'm when I'm growing, I use seeds that are one not from those lineages and from trusted breeders, and I crossbreed on my own for just not like commercially, just for my own like legal six
Or like
plants
personally
outside or
just having
whatever.
fun.
Yeah, again, I don't even smoke anymore, and I still grow just for fun. Um, but I breed it all. I breed.
Respect.
Yeah, it's it's what I do. So like I breed it myself. I have some seeds that I'm gonna run this year that are like what do you call it, a back cross. So I got some Paradise Pine seeds from Huckleberry Hill Farms. I back crossed it to itself, and now I'm gonna run those this year and cross into this other.
How do you back cross? What is a back cross?
Okay, so I'm not a breeder, so I don't really. I'm not sure. I'll probably butcher this, but what I did was just I popped 20 seeds of the same lineage,
Mm-hmm.
but it was kind of fucked up because my son threw like I had 20 pots with all the seeds in it, and he dumped like 15 of them on the ground into one big pile.
Damn.
I wasn't looking, so I ended up with just like 3 females in their own pots, and I had one pot that ended up with 2 seeds in it. And it just happened perfectly where like that pot had a male and a female growing it, so I got like 45 seeds from that female.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, the male like pollinated that female in the same pot. I chopped the male at a certain point, and then the female just was like a little runt kind of thing. But I got like 45 seeds, so we're gonna see how they do.
Nice.
But in general, a back cross, I'm pretty sure just means like same lineage, but you just cross it back to itself. And what I'm told is that brings out the traits of the parents more so.
Okay.
So I'm gonna take those, and I think there's some Skittles in this lineage, and Skittles is one of my favorites. It's got like this crazy, delicious taste to it, and the high is very like creative, which I like. But I'm gonna take
Nice.
that and try to cross it to something else just for fun. I'd like to win some like home grow competitions one day or something. I'm trying to learn like soil science and things like that. So
Dude, it's kind of cool how like I guess like crossing and like breeding and stuff. I feel like it kind of correlates to pretty much everything. Like you can use pretty much the information I'd say like that from like breeding weed to probably do mycology work and like vice versa, or at least have a general understanding of you know.
yeah, I mean you can do it with chickens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's that shit's so mycology. I remember I tried. We had like 100 plates, and we tried so hard to just you have to like isolate a spore, like put one over here, put one over here. We did it terribly, I'm sure, but like they
Oh, dude,
they
yeah. I
never
don't
met
even.
up.
I've never really like. It's kind of like you could do it like so many different ways. You could do it like people call it like ghetto breeding. Um, I think that's pretty much just like taking two monocultures and like putting them on top of each other, letting them grow, shit like that. I don't know. It's pretty cool, man.
That's why I like it though, because it's like an emerging science still that people are still like figuring out. And I've seen different theories as far as like mushroom breeding, but I don't know. Like I've also been told that like mushroom breeding is bullshit at the same time, or that like a lot of it is based on chance. Like, I,
I think like So there's like there's a lot of people who are doing like cereal dilutions now and stuff, and they're like, you know,
Is that like the
basically
magnetized
taking.
water that like isolates the spores?
It's like, yeah, it's like they take a spore solution and then they use like a pipette and they kind of like dilute that spore solution so many times. Um, and then they can use the diluted solution on like the petri dish, the agar dish, and that then they should be able to find like a single spore germination.
See, that's cool.
That So then they find that single spore germination, and then they can do that another time with like another variety, and then find a single spore germination like that, and then you can put those two spores on the same plate, and then they could possibly mate.
Yeah,
But like there's also like I guess like compatible spores and stuff like that. So it's like I
yeah.
just learned that there's like a whole new level to it.
It goes so deep, and that's why I kind of just got stuck when I was trying to figure it out. But um, I think it's cool that the mushroom community, like, I mean, that's how we have apes and shit like that. You know what I mean? So it's cool that people have figured it out. Um, I personally, it's always been a dream of mine to like make a mushroom strain, whatever you call it, variety. I know the mushroom community hates calling them strains, but like we're but
I personally, I think like there's like a lot of the mushroom community is just um, like just strict for no reason. You know, I mean, yeah, technically it's a variety. I feel like I guess because in as a mushroom, when you're thinking in like mycology, the whole tub, so each mushroom is a strain.
yeah.
So that's why it's called the variety because the variety would be like golden teacher and then they're like the strain, but then it's like that's only that's that one person that has to do that, you know what I mean, for the most part. Like if you're like speaking to me and they're like, well, what strain, it's like, well, I'm like, I'm not gonna like freak out about it. If anything, like I'll like inform somebody, but like keep calling it a strain, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, it's kind of like the conversation about language. I mean, there's a lot of that in the weed community too, of just like like sativa and indica is a good example because there is no chemical called sativa. There's no chemical called indica. They're just terms that we use to denote how a strain makes you feel. But it's like if someone knows what I'm talking about by me saying that, and it's like the word achieved its purpose. So I don't know, but it's funny because mushroom people do get pissed about it at the same time, and I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna keep saying
Yeah, dude. It's kind of funny, man. I like it. I like trolling a little bit. I do like what I like to call like a little soft core, troll. Right? I'm like, uh, I think for the most part, like I think there's like a lot of things that people want to say that nobody says because they don't, So then I'll like say like something like, like I said, I made a post that the cardboard guy.
yeah, yeah. I think I saw this one.
So it's like, it's like Enigma is overrated or, a little something like that. And it's just like, that's just like the brain culture. But I've realized that, like, if there's a person on there that's genuinely insulted that much that you're going to like freak out on me online about some like stupid meme I posted, like, it's just like I'm not the problem.
They got other stuff going on. Their wife is slapping them about something or whatever.
Yeah.
It happens. No, I deal with that a lot. Like the comment section on all my articles, I can't even read it anymore, just because it's always people that read the headline or read the caption. Most of the time, it's just the headline. Most of the time, they don't even read the caption on the Instagram post. But almost none of the commenters actually read the article itself, and it's like every comment is something I addressed in the article, or a complete a complete misinterpretation of what I'm trying to say, kind of thing. It's just like I really wish people would read, for one, and for two, I wish people would, you know, stop, calm the fuck down online. Mostly is what I'm trying to say. It's like everything's fine. This is the internet. Like it's not real life. Everything is everything's
100%.
fine.
I wanted to say, like, dude, I love the way, like, I love the way you, like, express yourself in your writing. Um,
Thank you. Thank you.
it like I feel like you can really feel how you're feeling through your words.
That's why I like High Times. They let me do my thing with that. It's like it's definitely not traditional journalism the way that I write. It's I'm hesitant to call it Gonzo because that's a sacred term to me, but it's the closest thing to what I try to do. Is just like I don't believe in complete objectivity, so it's like I try to give as objective as a information as I can, and also include my own like. I feel like it's more objective to include my own like experiences or perceptions of things, like the white ash article that I just did. I mean, the weed community's all been up in arms about white ash for the longest time. It's like,
Yeah,
look how white my ash is, it's so good. But
yeah.
I'm like the way I did it was like, there, like, here's some court documents showing that people put chalk in their papers to make their ash white. Here's a bunch of studies that show that stuff is harmful, and also that people have been doing it for decades. And at the end, I was like, here's my, perspective on the matter, which is like, it's user preference. And, there's like 20 different metrics that we should judge cannabis on. My kid's trying to get in here, but I had to lock the door. My kids are crazy. I got a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old, and they run amok all day long.
Dude, that's crazy. I remember you had one. I remember when you had your first kid.
Yeah, we had another one very quickly, which not planned.
A beautiful accident.
Yeah, we did. Well, they kind of both were, to be honest with you. Like, I know people think that's shitty, but it's like most kids weren't on purpose. Like, don't even get me started.
No, I mean, come on. I was an accident. I was,
Beautiful, a bunch of beautiful accidents.
I'm a beautiful accident.
Yeah, that's definitely. They're super cool though. They're just like I got a toddler and a boy that just learned to walk, so they're just crazy all day long, just running around and yelling and breaking shit and climbing on shit, like
Learning how to open doors and shit.
yeah, literally. And it's funny because this door has like a broken hinge, so every time he opens it, he tries to just break the whole fucking thing off. Like, it's chaos, but it's good chaos at the same time.
That's awesome, man. That's cool that you're thriving the dad life. It's so crazy how that transition happens. Even like through like online presence where like we don't we don't like speak like too often. I see your stories and like but it's just like it's crazy when we first met to like today.
Yeah, it's been like 2 years, but it is funny the way you're describing. It's like that's kind of how most people interact now. It's just like what's going on with someone, but you don't actually like interact with them too often. The internet's weird.
It's like I've been thinking about it, and it's like there's like a lot of people who like watch my stories, and I watch a lot of people's stories, and it's like we don't message like like hardly ever. However, I know like they got tacos on Tuesday, and they're they're having like a culture sale until like January 3rd, or something. It's like.
Yeah, and then it's funny when you see something like today, like Instagram goes down and no one knows what to do with themselves. Like I live out in the fucking sticks, so like I'm fine no matter what. But like, it's funny watching people react to like their little world.
I loved it. This was the first time where I caught Instagram like went down instead of like actively trying to like fucking refresh until like I could post my. I tried to message you, and it was just like sending forever. And I tried to message somebody else, and I was like, all right, Instagram's down. I tried to log on Facebook, and like it wouldn't log in, and it was telling me there was an error, and like I was like logged out, and I was like, all right, fuck it. This shit's down. Let's go to the gym. I'm gonna make some substrate.
Let's enjoy our day. No, it's
Dude,
funny because the only impediment it's funny though because it's like now it's integral to our survival. Like I was trying to get firewood this morning. It's a fucking blizzard over here right now,
oh,
and I was getting it over Facebook. So like, other than that, I was fine with it. But I was just like, we are actually dependent on this now for survival to
100%.
some degree. It's like it's kind of eerie.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah, internet ages. I mean, I'm chronically online like everybody else for sure. I have to be as a journalist, but like, you know, I try to keep it healthy. That we live out here on 5 acres, so it's like I try to just be outside.
It's like I'm GPS dependent.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like I'm driving around the fucking hills all the time. It's like if I don't have GPS, I'm gonna get lost and shot.
So how many phone numbers do you remember offhand?
Like my mom's, my dad's. I think I know my wife's. No, I know hers. Yeah, like 3 or like 4, probably. 4,
I think I
maybe 5.
know. I think I might know like fucking. I don't even know. 2.
Yeah, it's I keep watching videos about this. There's this cat on Instagram. It's like no grid survival projects. It's all these ways of surviving if there's like some particular disaster. I think it's like an EMP is what it's called, where like all electronics just
the
like
electronics go down.
Yeah, that's kind of a scary thought because we everyone thinks it's like the lights will be off. It's like no, like you won't have water, you won't have food.
Yeah,
like
no, like, you won't have any refrigeration for food.
yeah, it's weird to think about. That's why like I don't know. What I'm working towards, like, I'm not like a prepper by any means. Like, 'cause I don't have. I would be if I had the money for it. But like, I'm just. We're trying to work towards like self sufficiency as much as possible. Like, I want to learn.
That's like homesteading, man.
Yeah, exact homesteading. Like, we're getting the garden going. I'm gonna learn to hunt here pretty soon. Like, plus it's cool because like most disasters we'd actually be okay out here. We have like we're on a well. We have our own propane tank. Like we're not really dependent on like most city based things.
That's what's up.
Like, yeah, I like it for that reason.
That's the goal, man. You know, I would like to like be able to like catch my own rainwater, even if it's just to like water my plants with it or something. You know?
Oh yeah, we're doing that too. I mean, there's a way to create like a whole like you make a system from your gutter like that feeds into an RO filter and like right into the buckets. We have like trash cans out there with like just with like a little filter over them just to catch it for the garden or whatever. But
that's cool.
Yeah, it's cool. We've been mostly like in cities up until we were at this house, so it's been a fun learning process. Like we have a fireplace now, we have to keep it stocked with wood. Like, you know, we have property we actually have to like maintain and shit like that. So it's been a fun learning curve.
Whole ass fucking Bear Grylls over here, dude.
Not quite like we're not off grid, but like, you know, it was definitely kind of like
I guess in comparison to living in the city, you gotta get
firewood. And like I've lived in vans on weed farms for like 6 months at a time before and shit. So like I was kind of familiar with it, but like when you have kids and like it's your whole entire life, it's like it's a bit, you know, it's a bit like last year it was snowing.
Yeah,
we had a foot of snow at the house, and I just hadn't bought firewood yet and we were running low, and you know we had just scrambling to find some from like local people, like just shit like that. You know,
but it's like the fireplace used specifically for the heat. Like, do you have a heater or is it just a fireplace?
We have one of like a wall heater right behind my office here, but we're on propane out here, and it uses a bunch of it. For one, I don't even know how to turn the damn thing on.
Oh shit!
We just use. I mean, I'm sure I could figure it out. We just use the fireplace. And it's funny because people always talk about how nice it'd be to have a fireplace. We spent like $1,000 in wood just this winter.
Damn, really?
Like, yeah, wood's expensive.
Fucking A, dude. That's insane. So like, does the fireplace like really significantly heat? Like I live in Florida and I was raised in Florida, so I've never genuinely had to like fend for like, I mean, I
Never
guess
needed,
I've lived
never
in New
needed
York.
heat.
I've lived in New York. I did, I guess, I lived in the cold and I did fend for heat, so to speak. But like, I don't know,
It heats
not
the
like my
house
whole
up
life.
pretty fucking good. Like, it's like if you get it going,
Never got
it'll
to use a
warm up.
fireplace. That's
Yeah,
cool.
building a fire is another skill. It's like very very important to
That's
learn.
such a
Like I
dude. You're like a total dad, man.
oh yeah,
You're
I've
like, all right,
I've
gotta
definitely
build a fire
transitioned.
for my children and my wife.
Oh, it's funny. Like you just yeah, being a dad is it's made me two things. I'll say have made me a better human being recently. One is being a father, but two is not smoking weed anymore. And I don't. I know people are going to be mad at me for saying that, but like
If they're
I
mad at
quit.
you, they don't need. They whatever. They're bums.
I quit just over 3 months ago, and I swear that shit. I mean, you become a more. I've become. I can only speak for myself, like, but I've become a more responsible person in that process, just
Yeah,
because you start paying more attention to things. You start trying to just. You're not as comfortable in your day to day because you're not stoned. So like you try to you actively do things to make yourself more comfortable, like trying to level up in ways so like you know
life.
buying life.
Like
Buying
you.
better furniture and shit
I
like
was gonna
that. Like
say better furniture, new like fucking like I need to get a new dresser. I think I think that's my next like adult purchase is I like a new dresser.
it's just expensive. Everything costs so much fucking money.
You know what it costs like a lot of money that nobody really talks about? Mattresses.
Oh my god, like an insane amount, especially for a decent one. Like
It's
we
like
spent like 400 on our mattress like 2 years ago, and it's already shitty.
yeah. I
It's
bought
already
like an
got like a
old
little dip.
$300 like Amazon blow up mattress. They're like not even the ones that are like rolled up.
Yeah, like the one they like suction all the air out or whatever.
Yeah. But like and it's like decent, but it's like they to get like a really good mattress, it's like thousands of dollars.
Oh
It's
yeah,
kind of fucked up. They're like, you want to sleep good, and you got to sleep. You have to sleep every day, but
fork
we're
over
not going to
that bread.
necessarily give you good sleep.
Yeah, it's funny, like, because growing up, I never paid attention to this kind of shit. I had a lot of friends that did. They were adults at age 18. You know
I
what I
mean,
mean?
I was
No,
like,
I was taking LSD like it was fucking food and like just not paying attention. I was always on something. Like that's just kind of my history. Is like I
yeah,
was I was definitely like running around Humboldt on all the drugs I could for like the better part of I don't know 10 years up until like I met my current partner and had kids and all that. And now I'm just like calming down, realizing like, wow, life is really uncomfortable. You have to do things to.
dude. Yeah, man. That's like for I'm like currently 62 days California sober.
Congratulations.
And it's like still smoking weed, but even like without the weed smoke, or without like just drinking and partying, and just even like no nicotine, which was kind of like that really is the worst one to quit. I'd say,
Oh, I'm such an asshole when I quit nicotine. Like you're so unhappy, and
dude.
it's not even like you're withdrawing or anything. You're just mad the
It's just
whole
like for no
time.
reason.
Yeah, I mean, just 2 weeks on a vape again, and I threw it away 2 days ago. I wake up and just like I'm all serious right off the bat. Like, just
You
hella
like
mad.
aggressively open the newspaper.
Yeah, literally. Like I'm just looking at my phone. I'm like, everyone's stupid. I'm like, no, they're not. I'm just upset.
Like today
Yeah,
sucks. It's actually like a beautiful day. It's like, wait a minute.
yeah. Literally, nicotine is one of the worst. Like, but it's funny because of all the things I've quit, and I've quit every drug in the book. Right? I've been to rehab. I've been addicted to almost every drug, every opiates, benzos, alcohol, cocaine. I've been addicted to and quit all of it. I swear to God, the hardest one for me to quit was weed, and not because it was like, not because of like any physical withdrawals or anything, just because I know in my head that it's not bad for me, So I'm always just like, why the fuck not? Like it's very hard to quit for that reason. But it's I will say like 2 weeks into it, like you feel a fucking cloud lift. At least I did. Like a lot of people have many perfectly good reasons to use it, and I don't want to like detract from that. Like some people, it's even good for them mentally. For me, it keeps like a cloud over my head, and I felt that lift. Very.
Dun dun
It's my fucking dog. Just pushed my door
dun.
open. I don't even know how that's possible.
Dude, it's that like you like just that pure, just little human. You know what I mean? They figure out things that we don't even think about it just because they're just not even tainted by the world yet.
My dog is such a shit. She'll get out all the time. We
Oh,
have
was
like
that
a
your dog
fence.
that opened the door?
Yeah, it's literally
Oh
a
shit!
dog
I thought it
that
was your
opened the door.
child. Sorry.
No, no, no. But my child, I just tell him to go away. But fucking my dog just like knows to open the door. I don't even know how she did it. But yeah, my dog is a coward. She's scared of our cat.
I mean, cats are pretty like, you know, I love cats. Cats are like very freaking like fluffy and cute, but they're kind of dicks sometimes. They're like they can be scary. They can like have this energy, this presence that's like
Very formidable
terrifying.
for sure. I've lost a lot of cats. Honestly, they get eaten a lot. Like it's a sad reality of having cats. So like like we just had one. Like he came back like his jaw was like hanging off. He had like a hole in his chest. Like something tried
Oh
to get him.
shit.
We had to put him down. But just like we're out here with a bunch of coyotes and birds
Uh,
of prey and shit. Like I don't even know how he got away, honestly. But
yeah.
you know,
That's
yeah.
terrible, dude. The coyotes. I don't even think about that. Like I don't even know they. I don't know if there are coyotes in Florida. If there are, freaking.
You guys
I
just
saw a
got
fox
fucking
running around once.
alligators.
Oh
You guys
yeah,
just got a
true.
bunch of
Alligators, man. I
alligators.
forget about dude. I'm like such a Florida. I'm such a Florida man that like I forget that Florida is like this is not normal.
Wait, what part of Florida are you in again? Like
Uh,
south?
it's like I don't know, mid. I'm about like an hour south of Orlando, 2 hours north of Miami.
Okay. See, I've only been to God, what was it? I think it was the northern part. I don't know. I remember going to an alligator zoo, and they had like
Out like
they had an
Gainesville or something.
yeah, I think they had like an albino one. It was just the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. Florida is a wild place.
Dude, alligators are fucking dinosaurs.
They're literally the perfect predator. They're like unchanged for like several million years because they're the perfect predator. Like
They're just like
evolution said no, you're fine. You're perfect the way you are.
when they were like, yeah, when they were like making them, it was like I'm gonna like, you know, make it this like armored, powerful lizard with like a hint of cat, just because it fucking hisses. They're like, and then like it growls. It's like a lion, lizard, fish that
I'm
breathes
terrified of them. I'm
air.
literally terrified of them. I had an uncle that lived out there, and he had his own little private ski lake on his property because he was rich. He was super rich. But he that lake of his, I would not get in it because every time they went out there to water ski, they had to pull a fucking alligator out of the lake. I was just like,
That's terrifying.
why do you have this here?
I wouldn't necessarily want to swim in that either. I'm like,
No,
you know, I would
they
like.
scare the
I
shit out of
like
me.
seeing them. Like if I'm kayaking or canoeing, you know, that's the most I really want to be. You know, but like then I hope like so like one day I was out canoeing with my father as a child. We were going through this like wooded area, and it was kind of like uh, it was like dude saw a little baby albino alligator in the water, and then it like disappeared.
You don't
And then we were
you
just
don't
like,
want
la
to
di da,
disappear.
and then whoop-ah, something like, I think when it was the mother alligator hit the side of our canoe, and like we like shook, and then fucking like it got
Uh,
away. But like
I'd be
that was
shitting myself.
terrifying.
Yeah, I would. I don't think I've ever come that close to any kind of like predator like that. I've been around a lot of bears, out here, but they're like brown, black bears, I think is what it is, or brown bear, whichever one, black or brown. They're giant pussies. You can run after them;
Yeah,
they'll just run
black
away.
bears usually are like pretty, uh,
But
like big
yeah,
puppy dogs.
I've literally chased black bears when I was drunk in the woods before, and they just run away. So
That's
it's
crazy.
fine. Yeah, it was dumb.
You're
I'm
like,
not recommending that. But there's a ton of them, especially like fucking working out on weed farms and shit. It's just like that's just what else are you gonna do besides
dude,
run out? Like,
it's like I feel like being a parent, you have like tiers of like stories that you could tell your children, and it's like wow, this story is like a tier 5. They got to be like 34.
yeah, you have to be past the age where like you're gonna try to emulate these things. That terrifies me, honestly. Like, one, because I know addiction runs in my family. So, but like at the same time, I'm very glad that I know everything I do about drugs, so I can like impart that knowledge onto my kids. It's like that's one thing. But
Absolutely.
two, just the chaotic and stupid shit that I've done. I'm like, please don't, like, don't jump a Toyota Tacoma sideways while you're off roading. Like, don't. Like don't. Like, I remember one time we took a door, like a wooden fucking door, and like nailed linoleum to the bottom so it would slide around.
Whoa,
Put
that
sled handles
sounds
on the
fun
side.
already.
And we drug it behind a quad, like around in the dirt. My friend broke his neck. It
Nice,
was insane. just
dude.
a bunch
Super
of
dangerous,
stupid,
but that's super fun.
just a bunch of dumb drunken shit like that. That I'm like, I will tell you, I will tell them one day when I know they're like old enough to not go out and try it. Like, I don't know. I just
It's like right now, it's like I only, it's like you have like I have like 3 G-rated stories I can tell you, but wait, I just wait till you're 18. You're gonna you're gonna love these stories.
yeah. I will definitely. What I will say though is like we have such a substance abuse problem in this country that like I'm not going to shy away from telling them anything about drugs for at any age or sex or
No,
anything like that. Like my parents were very like like they sheltered me a lot, and that's why like when I got to a certain age, I was like, okay, you're telling me. All they would tell me was like, don't do these things. Rather, they didn't give me like drugs, for instance. They didn't differentiate between the drugs. They were just like, drugs are bad, don't do them. So when I got older, I started reading because I read a lot, and I'm just like, okay, well, are they all bad, or like, are there certain ones that like? So I just started reading, and I started reading books about LSD and psilocybin and all these things. Even like early on, back in the day, where I'm like, these things sound great. What are you talking about?
yeah,
Lo and behold, they were. Like, I will defend LSD and psilocybin until the day I die. I mean, like,
me
even
too.
now, if I had the time, like, if
I
I
was
had 12, if I had 12 kid-free hours, I'd be running amok.
yeah. LSD is like it's a commitment. um, it's like a long commitment. It's fun, but like you really got to be like, you know what I mean. I have to have this much time in the day, and I have to have my fuzzy socks clean.
Your whole house has to be clean because you have to like feel comfortable. Like,
Yeah, then you just like sit and like
make sure no one's gonna call you with like some bad news. That like just text everyone like, please don't contact me for 12 hours. Like, whatever it is, just tell me after, please.
put the phone on do not disturb.
God, we used to when I was like a sophomore or a junior or whatever in college. I mean, like there were a lot of LSD. Like someone gave me a vial at one point, and like I remember my roommate
Wow,
literally went out without my knowledge, went out and gave a free dose to everyone in the neighborhood.
Jesus.
So when I got home, everyone was frying.
Yeah, you probably still have like a bunch left.
Yeah, that was a good year. I'm not gonna lie. Like it was kind of before I got really heavy into pills for a while when I was younger, and it was kind of right before that. But it was like this beautiful little moment right before that where like everyone was just doing a bunch of really good LSD, and it was a lot of like really pure and good memories. It was still unhealthy, don't get me wrong, but like I remember a lot from that time. It was
Everything in moderation, everybody, even
yeah,
moderation.
yeah. I mean, like after like the 100th trip that year, I was like, maybe I should chill out. It's a lot.
Well, dude, what do you like to do when you're not, dadding it up or writing?
Shit, honestly, that's been most of my time lately. It's like right now. I've been really like head down in work because I'm working on a book. I'm actually consciously taking a bit of a step back from the article writing for a little bit so I can work on this book. Um, Other than that, we just kind of explore a lot because with kids it's hard to do much of anything. But we're right outside the Emerald Triangle, so we just kind of drive out and explore the woods a lot and as much as we can with the little ones. Other than that, I'm trying to think of like hobbies I have at the moment. Literally just like homesteading is what I've been spending all my time on. Like
Dude, I
we're
think
gonna
that's a really solid hobby to really spend your time on. I think that alone, it's like I feel like homesteading is such. It's arguably, but that's just like the real general term.
Yeah, it's so much. There's so much that goes into it, and like honestly,
Subcategories to homesteading.
yeah, like honestly, I need to like have a little bit more fun because I've had my head down way too often lately. But it's just like I don't know. You reach a certain age, and it's like I don't know. All of my friends have either moved away. A lot of them have died. Like a lot of them are parents themselves. So it's just very hard to like do much of anything else. Honestly, once you get to a certain point, but I need to at the same time. It's like I like to rock climb. I like to
Nice.
surf. I do. I like to just be outside as much as I can. I like adrenaline too. So, but whatever. Not quite as much as my partner. I call her my wife. We're not actually married, but she's a skydiver and she's done it like over 100 times. I saw you've been skydiving, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that shit's nuts. You'll
that's
never
cool,
catch me
man.
doing that
She's a
shit.
skydiver as well.
Yeah, she used to teach it actually down in San Diego, and she's been trying to get me to go, and I'm like, no, absolutely
Dude,
not.
you should, man. I've done. I got my 200th a couple weeks ago.
Your 200th jump?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, you got more than her. Look at you go. Jesus Christ, that's a lot of jumps.
If she was teaching it, she, you know, probably doing something pretty good.
Yeah, it was down in San Diego. She used to do that for a long time. Not so much anymore, but like her brother just turned 18, so she's gonna take him soon and shit like
Nice.
that. But yeah, I try to do as much fun shit as I can. Honestly, my kids are getting to an age where it's gonna start getting easier. Once they hit like 1.5, it's like you can kind of get back to regular life for the most part. But
Isn't like, I mean, I don't have any kids. That's like something, it's like, it's foreign language to me. I'm kind of like a cool uncle, but only like, once they're at like a certain age.
yeah, when they're honestly, I'm not gonna lie. This is gonna sound terrible. I hate babies, like infants. They're
Dude,
they're
it's like
not fun.
scary, man. Infants, honestly, it's just like, this is just little human being that doesn't know how to communicate and has to be fed and like, fucking, I don't know, is trying to communicate but doesn't know how to communicate. And you have to know how to communicate via
It's no,
that.
that's the thing. They can't communicate at all. Like you can kind of guess what they want and shit, but like I like when they get I like when they start walking and when they can say a few words because then it's like you can actually take them to go do things a lot easier than you could before. Early on, it's like you're tied to your house because they're taking like 3 naps a day that you have to be there for. Otherwise, your life is a nightmare. Like, but once like everyone talks about how
Guys,
bad
rough
toddlers.
life.
Yeah, I mean everyone talks about how bad toddlers are. Toddlers are way more fun. Like they'll just run around and like do crazy shit. It's almost funny. Like they're just like drunk humans with a bunch of energy. But like it's still way easier to be than
That's a
like
funny way to like describe it. It's kind of true.
yeah. It's been cool like just because I was such a shithead when I was younger. I mean, I did so much crazy shit that like now that I have to consciously calm down and like be responsible, like it's hard and boring, but at the same time, it's like it's a very it feels like a good shift to
Yeah.
make. It's good that I have these kids because otherwise I'd find a reason to go out and do something stupid again.
And it's like teaching lessons, man. It's teaching lessons, kind of teaching, like you just said, it's teaching you how to like regulate better.
Yeah, regulate just how to be responsible. I mean, it's like, and it also makes you have to consciously improve your life, because it's like you want to talk about being uncomfortable. It's like all the things that like the fire, for instance. It's like I wouldn't give a fuck if it was. I would just be cold. You know what I mean? I wouldn't put, if I was out of wood,
Yeah,
I'd be like, oh, whatever, I'll just be cold. But now it's like, no, you have to keep the house warm, otherwise they're gonna wake your ass up at 5 a.m. because they're cold. Like, the whole like circle, but
dude,
like it makes you level your life up at the same time, because you're like, well, now I have to. Like,
100%. I was like, I was even thinking about adopting a dog. Um, like the one I sent you, but still,
dogs
even
are,
then, now I'm like,
it's funny. We got a puppy when my first kid was like a year old, which was the stupidest thing. Like, it was so dumb. I can't even express how dumb it was. Like, I love my dog, but like, dude, puppies, people call puppies their kids, and I'm like, they are a lot of work, but I'm just like, that's insane. Like, they're not. But getting a puppy at the same time was like, we were just asking for pain at that point. I don't know why we did it. We
yeah,
just
dude, I'm just thinking
figured
about
they'd be
that.
homies.
Hey, I feel like it's like usually when we get pets, it's like an impulse thing. At least I say we, but that's just like a me thing. I don't even, I feel like realistically as a human being, if I like just sit there and like think about every single outcome as far as getting a pet, I think the outcome is usually just not going to happen at that point.
Oh yeah,
I have
you
to
just
like
got to
have
do it.
like an animal just show up on my doorstep, like, you know, and I'm like, I'm gonna bring it to the Humane Society, and then it just never, you know. That's how I get an animal.
Yeah, we see. It's always been an impulse thing for us too. Like my dog, we picked her up off a fucking weed farm that just happened to have puppies that day. So I was just like, it was a Jamaican guy, and her name was Bear, but it sounded like he was saying beer. So I was just like, yeah, that's the one
That's
for
fair.
that fucking dog. But she's tight. Like, don't get me wrong, I love having a dog, but like I was just like, that was so dumb to get one when you have a 1 year old.
Yeah.
But they're homies. They run around and wrestle and shit, so it's
Well,
cool.
that's good. They got
Yeah,
their little best friend, dude. I mean, I remember even growing up, I had a dog growing. There it was a his name was Gizmo. He was a Springer Spaniel.
that's cool. We always had dogs growing up. I've always had animals, so like if like the cat that just got clipped, now I gotta get another cat. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah,
you gotta have a certain amount of animals around just to, I don't know, feel like a home. You know?
I feel that, man. Well, freaking hey, man. It's let me. Does there? Let's see. I know people. Can get in contact with you via your Instagram. Do you have a website or anything?
No, I should make one, especially when this book is finished. I'll probably have to make one. But
Oh,
no,
what's
just
the book
Blueberry.
like? We never really spoke about the book. Do you want to?
Yeah, so the book is, that's why I'm kind of consciously taking a step back from the articles so I can finish it. It's a third attempt at this book. The other two I just kind of put away in the drawer when I was done with them, because the first one I was way too young and on way too much acid, didn't make any sense. The second one I wrote over the pandemic, and I was drinking tequila like a fish the whole time. So like I finished it and it was good by my standards, but the voice was kind of wrong. It was just like, point being, the one I'm working on now, it's a fiction book about two brothers that go on a treasure hunt. The treasure hunt doesn't matter. It's more so about addiction. It's more so about what happens to people who go through that in the days and months that follow, getting clean. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it's also kind of about this like mythical man in the hills who's like a medicine man of some kind. He has, I've always wanted a full blown psychoactive garden, and like a mushroom lab, and things like that. So it's just
Yeah.
like the quintessential version of me living out in the hills that these kids meet. But it's all like my own real stories put together as a fiction book, and to avoid the authorities and to make it fun at the same time, because a lot of this shit that I've done, I can't put it into a book without like incriminating myself. So it's just like,
Yeah.
but it's cool. I'm not almost done with it, but like I'll probably like a couple weeks to a month out, and then I gotta start trying to go through the publication process with it, which is long and involves a lot of rejections. So that should be fun. But it's
Yeah.
that's the
Rejection.
it's just that's the path I want to take. Journalism as an industry is dying. I hate to say it, but I mean, Vice just completely laid off everybody, and they were always like someone I looked to for like what I wanted to do. Um, you know, High Times has been great. I'll always continue to contribute to them. But just as an industry, I mean, there's not a demand for good news anymore. People read the news that people look for the news that they want to read. And even that, they don't even want news anymore. They want content. They want YouTubers. They want podcasts. So what I've been doing for a while just isn't in demand anymore. And I never really wanted to do it anyway. Honestly, it was just a natural career for being a writer. But that's why I'm trying to take like a conscious step towards like writing books, maybe writing TV shows and movies, something one day.
That's cool,
Things like
man.
that.
I mean, just because like you start on one path doesn't necessarily mean you have to stick with that forever, right? And then like with writing, that's also a vague term, right? Like there's so much you can do with writing, so many different
Yeah,
avenues you can go into.
yeah, and there's always like there's the people that I've looked up to as writers, and they've all been book writers for the most part. Very few of them have been journalists. I mean, even Hunter S. Thompson, like he called himself a journalist. It's one of my fucking heroes, but he called himself a journalist, and he was more of a book writer. You know what I mean? Like
I
he
don't know
was a
much
what?
about authors or reading for the
You know
most part.
Hunter S. Thompson?
I've heard the name, but not really.
You know Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas?
I've heard of that.
Dude, do yourself a favor. Go watch Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. It's about a real guy who was a journalist. He grew up in the '60s, and the movie is like he goes to Las Vegas to cover like a motorcycle race for a
Okay.
magazine, but he brings a briefcase full of drugs and ends up writing a whole book about the American dream. Dude was he had a lot of problems. Don't get me wrong, but like he was such a good fucking writer, and he did whatever he wanted. And he was like friends with Johnny Depp and like Warren Zevon and all these like
Mm-hmm.
crazy psychedelic cats from that era, and he was a very good writer who I
Very
try to like.
talented human being. I
Yeah,
feel like there's a lot of people who are super talented, but they have problems.
yeah, and that's kind of why I chose to get sober is because you read a lot of accounts of those kind of people, and they lose their talent by the end of their life. They start to get way too into the drugs and the drinking, and their brain starts to just kind of go. But I also feel like that doing those things is important to being creative. For some people, it's like you gotta go through some shit. You gotta
You gotta be able to like
knock
look.
some screws loose. You know what I mean?
You gotta be able to like not get off the track. Yeah, exactly. Be able to
Yeah,
look at yourself in a third person perspective. Be like, or whatever in a third person perspective, not necessarily from you, but from somebody else in your own mind.
yeah. I feel like that's why a lot of these studies about psychedelics are kind of funny. You see a lot of them; they're just like, "Oh, it's good for depression. It's good for sex. It's good for this. It's good for that." And I'm like, I feel like doing drugs for people who haven't done them is just good for most things. Like, I'm not saying people should just go out and do drugs for no reason, but I'm like, if you've never done them and you're kind of in a rut or you're just stuck in a certain frame of mind, it's like it will take you out of that. And that's just the simple act of being in a different state of mind.
Yeah. That's like
I
somebody
feel like,
smoking weed for the first time or like having a drink or getting drunk for the first time. You know,
yeah, you experience something different, and
completely different. And then you use, that's, I guess, that's what chasing the dragon is, right? Like, that is the dragon.
yeah. Well, one of them. There's
Yeah.
there's there's a couple different dragons, but the one I was chasing a while back was more of an opiate dragon. Pretty
Well, I
much.
mean, when I say the dragon, I say it more so as like that feeling, right?
Oh yeah,
It's
the
like the
feel.
feeling of like that first time you feel whatever you may have just done is never going to be like that again.
Yeah, definitely. That's I
And like
yeah,
that's what
I
the
definitely
dragon
agree with
is.
that. And you know, it's funny because like that's why I'm so comfortable with not doing any of these things anymore. It's like I've done acid over 100 times. I've done shrooms probably 1,000, and I've done almost every drug to the point where I'm like, even to no matter how long I go without them, they're not gonna really do anything different for me. So
Yeah.
it's like who was it? Fucking Terrence McKenna, I think it was. When you get the message, hang up the phone. It's like I feel like that's very important for people. It's like you need to consciously put it down. Like take the messages with you that you
Yeah.
get for sure, but like put it
100%.
down. Because like you notice people when they start taking shrooms way too often, like they'll start saying a bunch of weird shit. Like
I
that
think
to me
with
that
just like any substance, right? It's I think if like you
yeah.
just, you know, I mean, you can like this is an extreme, right? But you can see some of the tweakers that or I guess it's
Oh yeah, they start talking about the government and this and that, but like it's funny because when you hear someone get all mystical and start using words like ethereal all the time, it's just like maybe dial it back.
the whole like there's like like anything can be abused, right? So I really feel I feel great not I don't know I feel great not doing anything. It's like I've I'm similar. I was smoking weed when I was 15. I started smoking weed when I was 15. I've been honestly smoking weed my whole life, still smoking weed. But yeah, I feel you on the partying thing. Like it was a small town where I grew up, so like we were drinking as well. Like sophomores in high school. It was like by the
Oh
time I
yeah,
turned 21, I was like I didn't even really want to like
we
go
I
out and
we
party.
I'd done everything by the time I was 21. It was funny. I was like, why would I go to a bar? Just like I did the first time, but like yeah, the same thing. I grew up in a small town up here, and there was so much drinking when I was very young that like we thought the rest of the world was like that. And when I moved to a bigger city, like I moved to Isla
That's what
Vista
I
for
learned that the
college.
rest of the world wasn't like that as well. I moved back to New York, so it's like I moved to New York as an adult, and I was like, "Wait, you guys didn't party like that?" And they were like, "No," and I was like, "Oh,
Like
like I
I was
partied pretty much
misinformed.
harder in my high school years than I've
Yeah, like I
per
went to
age capita."
college. I went to my sophomore year of college down in Isla Vista in Santa Barbara. It's like known worldwide for like how much of a party place it is. And we got there and like we were the sketchballs. Like people were like, you did what? Like you drank how much? Or you like it was just funny how like I moved to that place to like be around people who were like me at that time, and everyone was like no, we're having a couple beers and calling it a wild party. I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like you need to guzzle this tequila and
Yeah, no,
take
it
Molly.
was like what was that movie? What was that movie that came out that was like X Party
Pro-
X or whatever
Project X.
Project X?
Yeah, we try to do
Yeah.
that shit
There
like
was a
every
couple of
weekend. It
parties
was
like that
stupid.
I had in like high school,
Yeah, we had a couple of those.
but
But I learned pretty quickly that like I didn't care about the partying. I wanted the substances. You know what I
yeah,
mean? That's where it kind of got a little bit dark. It's where it ends up for most people. I feel like
I feel
inevitably
like yeah, dude. That, guys, don't do substances, but they're bad. Don't do drugs, okay?
do them a couple times. Do them
Yeah.
just a couple of times. Get it, and then just like don't make it your whole life. But at
Live
the
your
same
life
time, I don't.
responsibly.
Yeah, like I don't regret any of it at the same time. You know what I mean? It's all a learning experience, but there were a lot of years wasted that could otherwise have been enjoyed more or like
Yeah, I feel
more
that.
wholesome, I guess.
There's a
That's
lot of like
just
things that I've done that I could like remember better, or or it's just that's why I just feel great. Pretty much alcohol was like alcohol is one of the things that it's just like, I don't think it's just necessary in life, and
I can agree with that. I
it's
can
not.
definitely agree with that.
You know, there's no positives to drinking alcohol.
Yeah, and I mean it's funny because like people are like, oh, it makes me more social, it makes me relaxed at the end of the night. It's like if you try doing those things without it, like
It
you'll. I
actually
mean, for
is,
what?
yeah. It's like
Yeah, it's
actually no. I've been doing that myself. Just now that I haven't drank for 2 months, and I'm noticing that it's like actually easier to go out and do the socializing because my brain is like clearer. I can actually think of like words to say and actually and have a conversation rather than
yeah,
think I'm actually doing this, but I'm just like drunk and overly confident.
yeah. Drinking never really did much for me. I mean, again, I have substance abuse problems, so like I would always take it too far, but I'd always end up sounding dumb or just like you know. But it's funny because a lot of people who like quit drinking or quit using anything, they'll like avoid those situations entirely. But like I actually find it much more fun to go do those things and just socialize like completely
Oh,
sober.
dude, me
It's so
too.
much
I've been
fun.
going out to the bars and everything, and I'm like, talking to people. People are like, "Oh, drunk people are so annoying." I'm like, like not really. Like, I guess it can get a lot sometimes, but for the most part, no. I feel that, man. I've been enjoying going out to the bars and just talking. Sometimes it's easier because like somebody's plastered. You're just having a conversation with this plastered person talking about fucking their like cat from like.
Oh yeah,
I don't
it's
know. It's kind
hilarious.
of funny.
It really is hilarious sometimes, but it gives you a perspective at the same time. It's like A, you can test yourself in that way to see how like really committed you are to it, but B, you just like, you know, in a sense it's like holding your hand over a candle. Like
Yeah,
but
100%.
I don't know. Like
I don't
they
really
wouldn't
feel like
invite.
it is like that because like I'm not, it's not something that I'm like struggling to do.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
feel
like,
you.
I feel like if I was like, oh, like fiending to like, have a drink or like, do something like, like I think then that's when it's like, kind of, I guess, playing with fire, right? But
Yeah,
I feel like right, like
100%.
as a person, like this is like I have absolutely no interest in like drinking at all or just like partying of
Why
any
did you
sort.
choose to stop just for health or for
Yeah, man, I don't know. I'm kind of, personally, I guess been partying pretty much since I was like a teenager. I
something
guess
new?
drinking, doing substances of, uh, so I, I don't know. I was raised around all that stuff. So it's just kind of like been around my life since forever. And then I've never really experienced a life without, drugs, like around, even, since growing up, my parents had substance abuse problems. So, it's like, that's why, because like I want to live a life without that. There's, um,
It's more challenging but more rewarding at the same time.
Yeah, it's like something that I've never even experienced before. So it's like something that I'm kind of like learning all, I get on my own, right? And like learning how to like do things. Like it's just like spending my time. I have so much more time in the day. Uh Rather than like I still feel like I currently don't have enough time, but like I have so much more time than when I was even drinking, right? Because then like
Mhm.
what 5 o'clock somewhere, 5 o'clock at my day ends, or something like that. There's no having a couple of drinks and then getting back into doing productive,
No,
things.
I would always used to tell myself that I would like.
Like I'm just gonna have a couple brews and then go back, and it was like it just never. That's not the case.
No, you end up just like chilling. or just like
Yeah, we just
having
end up
fun.
like hanging out, just chatting, drinking, and like chatting all night. Not even just chatting late into the night, and then I'm coming home. It's like and go to sleep, wake up, and it's just like now I have all of that time that I would normally not be using. So it's like trying to figure out ways of like using my time. I've noticed that like I just need to stay active and keep my whatever. I just need to keep doing something. And if I keep doing things, then it's all right.
Yeah,
Just don't,
that's why my
once you
that
get
that's why my
bored.
head's been down with work for a while. Just it's like you find that like if you really want to achieve your goals, it's like there are very conscious steps you can take. That being one of them. But then it's just like you have all this energy and time. It's like do something with it. You know
Yeah,
what I
dude,
mean?
I'll be honestly going to the gym. You guys see, the
Oh
beach is
yeah.
definitely that way. I mean, that way.
I gotta do that more. I don't work out at all, and I should. Like I don't do shit. I really need to. I like to swim, but I don't have a pool to do it with. So
Dude,
it's
you should
just like
just go to
you
like
know,
a local pool if you can or something.
yeah. It's been fucking. Once it gets a little warmer up, I'm probably gonna start doing that. It's been
Oh
like a
yeah,
blizzard,
shit, I forgot.
a fucking blizzard out here right now. I was supposed to go to Tahoe this weekend at my dad's house, and he sent me a picture. His like door is covered in snow. I'm like, oh, I can't go there.
Damn, man. Well, bro, honestly, I've had a wonderful time talking to you, and I can definitely talk to you for many, many more hours. But it is almost 11 p.m., and I still have to bag all that stuff straight up.
Oh my god, you got some work to do. Yeah, I got a crying baby. I should probably go attend to.
Um,
His mom's got him, but I feel bad not helping. But yeah, thank you
that's
for.
fair, But I want to thanks for taking, thanks for taking time out of your, very, very important parenting time out for, coming on the cast, man. Just talking to me. It was really nice
Thank,
talking to you, bro.
thank you for having me. I love talking about myself, so I appreciate
Yes, everybody
it.
loves a little me, right?
Hey, what's up, guys? Look at me go. But seriously, it is cool to be invited on a podcast. So I like what you're doing. Thank you for having me. It's been fun.
Yeah, bro. Thank you. And shoot, I'd like to have you on again. It doesn't necessarily have to be a one-time thing. You could
Yeah,
get an
whenever,
update on the
whenever,
life and see what's going on.
whenever you'd like. Especially like see where you're at by then, kind of thing. Because it's cool to see progress in content like this and podcasts and shit like that. You know.
Thanks, man. It's like it's slowly been growing, and I'm just kind of taking it for what it is. It's just like I'm just posting these videos, and talking to these people who I find to be interesting folks, and I'd like to, get to know a little bit better. And it seems like people are also enjoying that same thing because it's like it's a way to kind of like you could also get to know that person through the podcast.
Yeah, it's definitely I understand why it's like a form of content that's taken off a lot since the pandemic and just lately. Like, I listen to podcasts all the time. Conversations are a great way to get information that you wouldn't otherwise know or find. So, I definitely appreciate them for what they are.
Yeah,
You know.
dude. I'm like, funny enough, I don't even listen to podcasts. I've
Really.
never really listened to a podcast. I decided to start one because I was like, it seems cool to like just talk to people. And,
Hmm.
and then that's just like, now I just have this like, there just be like this like gallery of videos of just speaking to people and them just being their genuine self. Um, and possibly teaching somebody a lesson. And it's just forever there now.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool, like, it's a way of storytelling for
Yeah.
sure. That's like a modern day way of passing down information. I just, it's cool how these things evolve.
Yeah, man. I love it, dude. Passing down information and like also expressing like how you do that, expressing yourself and how you pass down that information and who you are as an individual. It's just like sick. Podcasts are cool. And it's also teaching me how to speak to people because like I'm fucking antisocial AF.
Same.
Well, I feel like this was actually really good, dude. It flowed solid. We just, chatted.
Yeah, I dig it. Well, thank you for having me. If
Thanks for
anyone
coming
wants
on, man. If you guys need anything written, hit up my boy Patrick.
Blueberrychem on Instagram, if anyone wants to find me on there.
You heard him. Blueberrychem. Much love, bro. Thanks for coming on. You have a wonderful evening, and I'll catch you later. Later, bub.